Welcome to day 3 of Dig In with Tech. Today you're going to be learning how to use some graphic design services that are out there and also doing website design. If you already have a website that you maintain, instead of learning how to use a new editor, just take the time today to work on upgrading and improving your site. I know that when I was in the classroom, if someone told me to spend a couple hours working on my website, I would have jumped at the opportunity. So I hope you feel the same way. The only things I really need from you are to be able to post a link at least to the document you created on day 1, the lesson, and to your screencast or podcast. It doesn't have to be hosted on the site. It can just be a link to it on some external site. So that's the bare minimum. If you already have an existing website, you can make that be a separate page or build it in wherever it's supposed to go in your content. So today, this video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to teach you a couple skills within it. And then I'm going to turn you loose to either create or work on your website. The graphic design piece comes first because Wix, it uses the logo that you've created. So I want you to make a logo for your website, and then it will pull the colors from that to kind of inform your site. So it's a nice thing to do in that order. But if it makes sense to you to do it a different way, absolutely go for it. Okay. The two things I want to teach you, the first one is about how to get an accessibility audit on your website, which is a really cool feature. And the other thing I want to teach you is about URL shorteners. And I'm doing that part last because if you already know about URL shorteners, you could just turn it off after the accessibility thing. So I'm going to start by navigating to my old website that I had for my classroom. I'm in Google Chrome. This only works in Google Chrome. I'm not sure what services the other web browsers have out there. So I'm just going to do a Chrome tutorial. You don't have to do this for your website, but it's nice to see if there are things that you can adjust or fix and how accessible your website is. So I started by clicking on ... over here, and then I'm going to go down to more tools. Once I'm in more tools, I'm going to use the developer tools. And so the hotkey for that on the Mac is Command Option I. I would assume it's something similar for PC. Don't be intimidated, okay? So I already had selected Lighthouse, but that's probably not going to show up for you. You'll probably be on this Elements page. My students always like to mess around with this. You can make it look like there are different words on the website. It's not actually changing the website. You're just messing around in the code and making it look different. So that was always a fun little thing that they would try. Okay, but if you go over here and click on these arrows, the place you want to go is Lighthouse. Okay, and so in the Lighthouse, when I first opened this, all of these were checked. I only wanted to look at accessibility, and so that's what I left it checked. And then you can choose whether you want to assess the mobile device for your site or the desktop device. I built this site with Wix, so it automatically has both a desktop and a mobile site that are kind of generated at the same time as each other. When you click on Generate Report, it takes a minute to go through the page and audit it, but it's worth the time. And the things it's looking for are how accessible is the site to screen readers? Do the images on it have alt text? I'll talk about more about that in Wix. And those kind of things that would make it easier for people to navigate through. Another thing to think about is, can you navigate through the site using a keyboard? I'm honestly not as familiar with that, and that's something I should be looking into because I know not everyone uses a mouse to navigate to use their computer. Okay, so this is a high accessibility score. Wix does some good stuff when they build it in. However, you have to remember that this is an automatically generated report. So it checked to see if I had alt text, but I'm the one who needs to make sure that that alt text makes sense and is actually a good description of the picture. So if someone with low vision is navigating my site and can't perceive the picture, I've got a good, robust description in there of what I am trying to convey with that image. Some images like this are just graphic there. They don't have any meaning. But if I had a graphic that was important to understand for the rest of the message to be brought across, I would want to describe that in the alt text. And like I said, I talk about that in the Wix tutorial. Okay, so if give it a try on your website to see how accessible it is. You can't edit it from here. You'd have to go into whatever you're using to edit your website. But this is a good way to see if you're at least on the right track and making it accessible. I know that you might be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have any students with low vision, and I don't think any of their parents or grandparents are low vision or use screen readers. So why is this something I need to worry about? It's just good practice. I never knew for sure whether I had people with low vision in my students' families who would want to access information on our site. I couldn't have like definitively said no, definitely everyone can look at my site and get everything they need from it. And also, if you're doing this all along and if you're building this as a habit, you can really just be prepared when that situation arises. So you're not on the back foot and trying to go back through and make your site accessible. The idea of universal design is to make it accessible for everyone to begin with as you're building it, and that's way less effort than having to go back and fix things when a crisis emerges. Okay, so if you know what to do with URL shorteners, head on and do something else. But if you are like, what is she talking about? This is for you. I love using URL shorteners. Bitly is the one that I choose to use, but there are a ton of them. I have a free account on Bitly. And so what you can do is you can put in a long link. So let's say I wanted to make a link for our class website. This isn't super long, but do I expect people to remember ehelton9.wix site? No, I don't. So I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click on this button that says create. Paste in the long URL, and then you don't even have to click create, it just does it after a second. So the title will be Dig In with Tech Website. And then customize the back half means I don't need to have this string of random letters and numbers. Sometimes you can leave it like that, that's fine. But let's see if Dig Tech is taken. Probably is. Let's click save and see. Yeah, someone already has dig tech. So let's go with the whole dig in with tech and see how that works. Did I spell it correctly? It looks good. Okay, so now I have a URL, bit.ly/diginwithtech, that I can use for people to get to the site. I did the same thing for the syllabus. So digtechsil is that I do it for all of the presentations that I share through the ERC, and I always have that prefix capital ERC. So that's the short link for our YouTube channel. If you look at our normal YouTube channel, I want to go here. So our just basic YouTube channel, this is the URL for it. Okay, it's got just a hash of random letters and numbers, case sensitive with multiple different things. And then instead of trying to get people to type that in, if I wanted them to go to my channel, I could just use this link here. So if I click on this, I'm going to click copy, make a new tab, bit.ly/capital ERC YouTube, and it takes us right to that page. This I used all the time in the classroom. If I had a particular website that I wanted students to go to, I would give them a short URL that would take them to the site. And I definitely used it for things we used on a regular basis. So I had a Google form that they would fill out as a weekly survey. And so I had a short URL for that they always knew. I had articles of the week that were a big part of my classroom, and so I had a short URL for the site that all of those were hosted on so they could get to it easily. So those can be really helpful if you're in person. It's less of an issue online because you can just share a link if you're communicating digitally with people, but it's still good to know that that exists and be able to use that if you're integrating digital things into the physical classroom. Okay. Good luck. Creating a website is not easy. It is going to be a trial for some people, and I know there are going to be a lot of questions, so I will be extremely available today to make sure I can answer things as they come up. Don't hesitate to get in touch, and good luck. I hope you have a lot of fun with it.